This webinar is being hosted in the framework of the EU CarIPI Innovation and Intellectual Property Rights Project in cooperation with the Antigua and Barbuda Office for IP and Companies. This project started 1 year ago and will last until 23. And I just wanted to highlight that under this webpage, you will be able to find the material related to this webinar. For example, a guidebook that we have produced recently in cooperation with ABIPCO, which is a guide for entrepreneurs on how to use the Madrid system. There is also lots of other materials like recorded webinars, questions and answers frequently asked, and other documents that might be of your interest. And on social media, you could follow us using the @IPR development name. So please follow us and you would be informed about any other upcoming events. So without further ado, today's webinar, the agenda will be, we have a quick welcome by Mrs. Ricky Camacho, the registrar of the Antigua and Barbuda IP and Companies Office, followed by an intervention from Desiree Samuel, from a trademark agent at Sanhal Trademarks in Antigua and Barbuda, as well as from Colleen Roberts, senior officer at ABIPCO, and followed by, again, a colleague of ours from the EU here, Rebecca Santana, who is a legal expert at the EU IP office. And to conclude, today is the exact day that Trinidad and Tobago also joins this in a Madrid system, and as of which you can file applications from that office. And we will have a representative from the TTIPO also giving a few words. Now, without further ado, I would pass on the floor to Ricky Camacho.
Welcome. Let me wish a happy new year to all of you who have joined our first ever webinar on the subject, the Madrid system in Antigua and Barbuda, a route to global branding. As introduced, I am Ricky Camacho, the Registrar of Antigua and Barbuda Intellectual Property and Commerce Office. The CarIPI Intellectual Property Rights and Innovation Project, CarIPI, funded under the 11th European Development Fund, is aimed at providing support to CarIPI states in furthering the implementation and providing support of the European Partnership Agreement commitments and in meaningfully reaping the benefits of this agreement. We really wish to thank the European Union Intellectual Property Office for its continued support and commitment to the work by facilitating various training webinars like this one today. We want to acknowledge the presence of Mariana Martini, Alexander Marr, Dr. Wendy Hollingsworth, Rebecca Santana Davis, Senior Expert Legal Affairs of the European Union Intellectual Property Office, Desiree Samuel, Trademark Agent of Sanhal Trademarks Limited, and our own Colleen Roberts, some of whom will be presenting here today. Many of you joining us today are small business owners. Your presence here is testimony to the fact that you recognize the importance of your brand and the value of your brand even when your business is small. Your brand is the image that differentiates you from your competitors. It identifies your product, your service, your company. It's a sign or a symbol, a design, a word, a color that may convey a sense of quality, credibility, customer satisfaction. It can play a crucial role in your marketing strategy and be at the core of your business competitiveness. It generates customer loyalty, and if carefully cultivated, it may become your most valuable asset. In the context of today's webinar, when we speak of protecting and using your brand as an asset, we are referring to the intellectual property area of trademark. We often think of Apple, Amazon, and Nike in the area of trademarks, but you do not have to be a big company to protect your trademark. One of the reasons behind creating this webinar was to bring awareness to a recently written booklet that was entitled The Madrid System in Antigua and Barbuda, a Route to Global Branding for Entrepreneurs. The booklet was completed with the cooperation of the European Union Intellectual Property Office as part of the CarIPI project. Our local entrepreneurs and small business owners will find that this booklet provides useful information on the Madrid system. It was published on our Facebook page on October 6th, 2020, and can also be found on the CarIPI website. We encourage you to take advantage of this valuable resource as it will serve as a practical guide for using the Madrid system. Antigua and Barbuda acceded to the Madrid Protocol on March 17th, 2000, a little over 20 years ago. We were the first members of the English-speaking Caribbean to join. And today we are happy to welcome our neighbors to the south, Trinidad and Tobago, as they formally accede to the protocol. And we look forward to working with them in the future. The Madrid Protocol is an international trademark system administered by the World Intellectual Property Organization that can be used for facilitating protection of trademarks in multiple jurisdictions around the world. It can be seen as a one-stop shop for trademark holders to obtain and maintain protection in export markets. It allows the trademark holder to modify and/or renew their trademarks through one centralized system. There are approximately 107 members of the Madrid Protocol covering 123 countries. They represent more than 80% of the world trade flows and constitutes very attractive markets for small business owners such as yourself wishing to export. The system allows for small business owners to register a trademark in many jurisdictions with just one application in one language and with the payment of one fee, without having to hire many attorneys or physically traveling to different jurisdictions, which is particularly useful during the current global pandemic that we are all living through. The trademark has the same renewal date in all jurisdictions, and the possibility to extend protection to new countries at any time allows you flexibility and to expand at your own pace as a small business owner. Our own Ms. Colleen Roberts, who will be presenting today, will expound on the detailed procedures and the perspective from the registry. She was chosen in 2016 to participate in the Madrid Fellowship at the World Intellectual Property Organization, located in Geneva, Switzerland, for 18 months. She and our other dedicated team members at the registry are here to help you utilize the trademark and international trademark system to your advantage as small business owners. In keeping with the changing times, the registry will be making more and more use of the technological tools like this to perform our work. And we are truly delighted to welcome all of you to our first webinar. Thank you.
Good morning to everyone. Pleasure is mine to be a part of this webinar today to be able to share some of my experiences with entrepreneurs seeking to expand their brand globally. By way of introduction, I am Desiree Thomas Samuel, a trademark agent within the firm of Sandhall Trademarks Limited. Sandhall Trademarks is one of the leading intellectual property offices within the Caribbean region, providing efficient and effective intellectual property services for clients locally, regionally, and internationally via a strategic network of competent associates around the world. It was established by the late Janet Santos in 1984 and is presently managed by Mrs. Susan Hall. Our services include registration of trademarks, renewals, change of names and addresses, change of ownership through mergers and assignments, third-party licensing agreements, filing opposition proceedings, registration and maintenance of patents, and registration and maintenance of industrial design. I would hope that most persons connected to this webinar are small business owners seeking to take advantage of the information to be shared today. Or perhaps you're a curious mind wondering, what is a trademark or a service mark? How is that important to me? What are the benefits of using the Madrid system? It is my hope that at the end of today's class, each person listening would be driven to utilize the information and the tools to share today to enhance and propel their businesses to the next level. It is important to understand that our world is not as large as we thought prior to the advent of technology. Why? By the click of a button, we are able to share information worldwide. Our world is ever changing. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, many who lost jobs have become innovative, thinkers, creative, and have started new business ventures. These ventures, though birthed through adversity and in some cases underfunded means, are surviving, and I dare say many are flourishing. How can a company such as Sandhall assist you in protecting, maintaining, and expanding your brand? I can hear someone say, I have a brand. Yes, you do. If you have a business, your company is identified by the goods or services it provides. For example, when one hears of Oasis Water, Cavalier Rum, English Harbour Rum, Antigua Distillery would come to mind as the owner. You see, what you provide or produce is your brand, your trademark or service mark, your name brand as locally termed. A trademark as defined by the Trademark Act of Antigua and Barbuda of 2003 means any visible sign capable of distinguishing the goods or services of an enterprise. So do I have to register a trademark? As a company solely dedicated to intellectual property protection, we advise clients that even well-known marks are at risk of infringement and always recommend that in order to relish exclusive rights of your brand, that the trademark is best registered. I wish to point out firstly that trademarks are recorded by a class system. The NIS classification is the tool used to manage classes globally, like a library or dictionary. It makes it easier to organize and maintain goods and services in one standard format. Trademarks are also territorial. Each company has its own set of regulations, and therefore, protection in Antigua doesn't mean protection in the UK. A crucial tip is to choose a strong mark. A mark can be in the form of word, or it can be figurative, or both. It can be in color or pattern. A trademark must be distinctive, morally sound, not misleading in trade circles, not identical or confusingly similar to another party's, should not contain national flags or state emblems unless granted permission from a competent authority of that state. For example, I have a fried chicken business, but I cannot trademark it as KFC because it already exists. Not only that, but it would also be classified as an unfair business practice. If you come to our office with a trademark in hand, we recommend that a trademark search of the IP office is carried out to ensure that a mark is available for use. The Madrid Monitor, or the TM View, facilitated by the European Union Intellectual Property Office, may be used to carry out these searches. Next, we assist you in preparing the prescribed documents for registration. Fees associated with registration in Antigua and Barbuda are relatively low. On average, professional fees to register a single mark in one class in Antigua and Barbuda at our office is around 1,000 EC dollars, thereabout. The documents along with your application and the relevant fees are then submitted to the registry for examination. If there are no discrepancies with the application, it is then sent to be published. If there is no opposition from third parties, a client can secure registration within 9 to 12 months thereabout. That's just for Antigua and Barbuda. How can I expand beyond our shores? I have online presence. How can I secure registration elsewhere? This is where the Madrid system comes in. The Madrid system, we have found, is a convenient and economical solution for the registration and management of trademarks. In times past, a client would have to employ the services of a trademark specialist in each country they wish to have their marks protected. If there was need for translation, that would have to be done as well. This meant separate fees, separate application, and the use of time, which could have been spent on other business matters. However, since Antigua and Barbuda are members of the Madrid Union, this means that one is able to file a single application here and designate or select over 100 other territories where they wish to protect their mark by the payment of one fee. There is no need for translations or completion of numerous applications. You can talk about a one-stop shop here. Users of the Madrid system can access support from application to renewal. One is able to even expand coverage for more goods by adding classes or designating more territories as their market expands. I will now take you through a guide, few steps to registering your product through the Madrid system. Step 1, have a basic registration or application in a country member to the Union. In this case, Antigua and Barbuda. Even if your mark is not completely registered, the application could be used. Step 2, calculate the fees associated with the classes to be protected by selecting the territories you wish to file in and the number of classes. This is done through the fee calculator, which is on the WIPO website. Step 3, pay the requisite fees. Step 4, complete the MM2 form and submit with proof of payment to the Office of Origin. This would be the ABIPCO office in Antigua, if you're in Antigua. The ABIPCO office would then submit to WIPO your application, who would then handle the processing. Step 5, Manage the application by tracking the status through the Madrid monitor. If an application is provisionally refused in a designated territory, a client may then utilize a trademark specialist to file a response to that office action. If an application is totally refused, a client may within 18 months file a local application direct to the territory if so desired. You do not have to stand alone. We understand that in business, time is money. From start to finish, we are here to help, whether you are a one-man operation or a large enterprise. You will find that the Madrid system is your best solution to globally connect your brand, forge partnerships, establish franchise, increase revenue, and save time. Finally, we know that consumers connect to trademark owners through brands, and trademark owners need customers for businesses to grow. If you need help with your IP matters, we stand ready to help you to harvest the benefits the Madrid system can offer you in order to move forward. Thank you, and I look forward to connecting with many of you who would seek to further information on how best the Madrid system could work for you. I would also like to thank the organizers, ABIPCO, and the European Union for giving me the opportunity to share this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This was very interesting from the practitioner's perspective. Now we go on to hear from the ABIPCO's perspective from a senior officer. What's your experience in working in the Madrid system?
Good morning. I am Colleen Roberts. It's a pleasure to present to you in today's webinar a short presentation on the registry perspective. I will start off with what is a trademark? It is any distinctive sign, often refers to as a brand or brand name. It is also a key feature of intellectual property. It must be distinctive, hence not be descriptive of your goods or product. Think of it as Apple for software. Some of you are familiar with these trademarks. There are 3 routes for filing a trademark for protection: the national route, the regional route, and the international route. But today, we are here to talk about the international route. This slide is taken from the booklet. It is used to illustrate the process of filing of international application from ABIPCO to WIPO and the designating countries in which you are seeking protection. Soon, we will see Trinidad and Tobago in our next presentation. Who can use the system? A person or a legal entity that has a legal connection with contracting states by being a citizen of Antigua and Barbuda, having a real and effective industrial or commercial establishment in Antigua and Barbuda, or an applicant is domiciled in the territory of Antigua and Barbuda. Please note, the applicant or applicants must have a trademark application or registration with a BIPCO, known as a basic registry. This slide illustrates the international trademark registration process. It has 3 stages. In details, step 1. Before filing an international application, you must have a basic application or registration known as a basic mark, registered in a BIPCO. A BIPCO will certify the international application and forward it to WIPO. Step 2. WIPO will formally examine the application, register the mark in their international register, and publish the international registration in their gazette. WIPO will also issue a certificate of registration and notify the designated contracting parties. Stage 3. The Office of Designated Country will use the scope of protection of international registration, where each designating office will substantive examination on each national law within 12 to 18 months, depends on the time limit. Here are some key features of the system. The Madrid system is a closed system. You must be a member. Entitlements, and the basic mark is required. You must file the international application through a BIPCO. WIPO formalities check is done by the World Intellectual Property Office, WIPO. They have a fixed time limit for refusal in each designating country. Renewals and recording of changes to the international registration is directly done by World Intellectual Property Office, WIPO. Replacement. If you wish to replace our international application and you want to register it locally in a BIPCO, that is what the process is of replacing your mark. You also have an option of dependency. That is result from the basic application if it's been requested by the applicant that the mark is cancelled or even lapsed. The international registration is also cancelled. Money matters. Here I will explain to you about the cost of using the system. The certifying fee to the Office of Origin, a BIPCO, is $250 EC. For a national fee, it is $250 EC per class for the first class. Any additional classes is $50. Fees are payable to WIPO in Swiss francs via a WIPO account. For basic fee, a black and white mark is 653 Swiss francs. For colored mark, it's 903 Swiss francs. Fees for designating contracting party include standard fees or individual fee is 100 Swiss francs for designating contracting party. WIPO offices offers e-services, how to search before filing, how to file an application, how to monitor an application and to register an application. It also shows you how to manage your registration internationally. Check out these slides on the WIPO website. They're great services and very useful. In a BIPCO, there are two roles as a member. Office of Origin, when Ms. Desiree Samuel, as an agent, files the international application with a BIPCO will issue filing dates and an application number. A BIPCO will do a formalities check. A BIPCO will certify your application and send it to WIPO. A BIPCO will also notify the applicant. As an Office of Origin of a designating contracting party, a BIPCO will receive designations from foreign trademark owners, will also conduct substantive examination to determine the scope of protection. Publish your international application in our Gazette, similar to our national application. Please note that if an applicant is not resident in Antigua and Barbuda, you must obtain a local attorney at law or an agent. Ms. Desiree Samuel, as an agent, will submit the Form 2 with a BIPCO. While reviewing that application form, there are 4 mandatory areas that a BIPCO will check. Identify the applicant, select designating contracting parties, reproduction of the mark, indication of goods and services. Once an Form 2 is completed, it should be filed with a BIPCO. A BIPCO will pay a certification fee is $250 EC. That is payable. Examination process as a designating contracting party. Examination is done in accordance with our national laws by using our Trademark Act 2003 or our Trademark Regulations 2006. Examination is conducted on relative grounds which should not be similar to a mark or earlier filing date. There may be special requirements for description, disclaimers, and translation. A BIPCO also used the 11th edition for the list classifications of goods and services. The tools we use also is the trademark class and the Madrid goods and services. As the Office of Origin, which is a BIPCO, once we accept the protection of these marks, a statement of grant is issued for 10 years. As I conclude my presentation today, from the registry perspective, registration is paramount. Identify what your mark is, identify goods and services, utilize the Madrid system as a springboard to grow your brand. Use the registry for searches and any other assistance. Check out the booklet. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Colleen. Rebecca would be telling you about the EU IPO perspective and the EU perspective.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for your words before, Ricky. And thank you to Desiree and Colleen for such interesting presentations. First of all, greetings to you all from Alicante. Shame we're not over there, but greetings from here over to you. And we all hope that you're all coping very well under the difficult and special circumstances we're going through. It is a great pleasure to speak to you today and to give you a few short hints, a short presentation, a short overview of the Madrid Protocol. When we talk about the Madrid Protocol, we talk about intellectual property rights in the global economy, we have to go one step back when tackling international systems that facilitate intellectual property rights protection at that international level. We talk about the three systems. We've got the Lisbon Agreement for appellations of origin and geographical indications, the Hague Agreement for industrial designs, and Madrid Protocol for trademarks. So we're focusing today on those few hints about the Madrid Protocol and our perspective. We know that the Madrid system can only be used by persons who have an attachment to a contracting party, be it nationality, domicile, or industrial commercial establishment, and a basic mark in that contracting party, be it a trademark application or trademark registration at that relevant office. The Madrid Protocol is actually a route to global branding. It's a brand protection system which is actually in full expansion, currently available to nationals of 107 members, which cover 123 countries around the world, including Antigua and Barbuda, as Ricky said, as from March 17 of the year 2000. It's a business competitiveness tool of special interest to export industries, and also a trademark protection route, which is increasingly used by all types of companies, but particularly attractive to SMEs. I'll make a little parenthesis here to introduce the European Union, which acceded to the protocol relating to the Madrid Agreement concerning international registration of marks as from 2004. We also have two roles, the EU IPO as Office of Origin and the EU IPO as Designated Office. I'm not going to go through, obviously, all the tasks, especially the tasks of the EU IPO as Office of Origin, but I wanted to leave them in a slide for you to know, and you will see that, obviously, they coincide with those just explained. The tasks of the office as Office of Origin are examining and forwarding international applications, examining and forwarding subsequent designations, if we wanted to expand that geographical scope, handling notices of irregularity issued by WIPO, and forwarding certain requests of changes in that international registration. And what are the tasks of the EU IPO as Designated Office? Well, the first one is the first republication in the EUTM, the European Union Trademark Bulletin. On receipt, the IRs, international registrations, will immediately be republished in the EUTM bulletin, except for instance, when the second language is missing. Publication is limited to the bibliographic data, to the reproduction of the mark and the class numbers, but it doesn't include the whole actual list of goods and services. This means that in the EU IPO, will not be translating the whole international registrations. The publication will also indicate the first and second language, and also it will contain an indication of that publication of the international registration in the WIPO Gazette. So, first republication, examination of formalities, which includes examination of the limited list for the European Union. It checks it examines the clarity and precision of the terms in the specification of goods and services, and also if there are any seniority claims. Examination of absolute grounds, examination of oppositions, the processing of communications from WIPO concerning changes to the IRs, and then the second republication in the EUTM bulletin. The international registration has, from the date of the first republication, the same effects as a EUTM application, whereas from the date of the second republication, the IR will have the same effect as a registered European Union trademark. And finally, it also issues grants of protection or final decisions. In principle, the holder of an international registration does not need to appoint a representative before the European Union Intellectual Property Office. To file, you don't need one. However, holders which are outside of the EEA, the European Economic Area, do need to be represented, for instance, further to a provisional refusal, or when filing seniority claims directly before the EUIPO, or further to an objection to a seniority claim. In those cases, you do need to have a representative, but not to file itself. So what do we do within that formalities examination? The formalities examination is limited to check if there's that second language that's been indicated, if it is a trademark, if it is the application concerns a collective or certification trademark, we check that the regulations governing the use are included as their essential feature of those marks, whether the limited lists for the EU designation fall within the scope of the main list of that IR, if there are any seniority claims, as we've said, and whether the list of goods and services meets the requirements of clarity and precision to ensure that the subject matter of protection is clear. As the absolute ground examination carried out by the EUIPO on IRs, if the mark is eligible, it will proceed with registration. Of course, we have the third-party observations and the period for opposition. If the mark is not eligible for protection, it will send a provisional refusal of protection given 2 months to the holder to submit observations. If the holder failed to overcome those objections or to convince the office that they're unfounded, or fails to respond to that objection, basically, the refusal is confirmed. But on the contrary, if after re-examining the objection is waived, the office will issue an interim status of the mark to WIPO. We close the parentheses on the EUIPO. I just wanted to give you a few hints of what we do as in our both of our roles. And we continue with the Madrid Protocol as a system which is in full expansion, as I was saying before. From December 1995 to January 2020, the latest data that I could retrieve from here, we have 107 members, which includes 105 states plus the 2 intergovernmental organizations with our European Union and WIPI. I was saying it's 107 members, but that includes 123 countries, which adds up to more than 80% of world trade, actually. Applicants filed, for your information, an estimated 64,400 international trademark applications under Madrid system in 2019, which is an increase of 3,500 on the previous year, resulting in an annual growth of 5.7%, which would be the 10th year of uninterrupted expansion. What are the main objectives of the Madrid Protocol? To facilitate brand protection abroad in exporting markets, and at the same time lower the costs that entrepreneurs have to pay to obtain and to maintain such protection. Consequently, what the protocol helps is to export branded products and services, add value to their exports, and to improve their international competitiveness. How does it do that? By offering a simple, expedited, and cost-effective set of procedures in 2 ways: applying for that legal protection of their brands in export markets and managing their trademark rights valid in various countries, all through that central filing of trademark applications. If we compare traditional filing with Madrid central filing, we've just heard our colleague before, we would go through separate applications, different languages, which do indeed involve translation costs, the fees paid in different local currencies, which obviously will increase exchange costs too. Local representatives are usually required with additional cost involved, and those different procedures from the start with different timeframes. Now we compare with the Madrid central filing, and we see that we have a single application, one single language. I've put there English, but it's English, French, or Spanish. The fees paid in one single currency, in Swiss francs, and a local representative will only be required in limited cases. I've put you the example as for the EU IPO, and one single international procedure and strict deadlines for the designated contracting parties. Through the Madrid central management, directly through WIPO, we can file our renewal every 10 years or subsequent designations that we may want to file, or modifications, for instance, change in name, change in address, or a different assignment. What is the legal framework? Each designated contracting party will be deciding whether it corresponds or not to confer that trademark protection to a given IR under the Madrid Protocol, and in accordance with its own substantive trademark law, refuse or not within those 12 months that we've already heard, or 18 months. If it's in case of opposition, it would be more than 18 months. The Madrid Union members are an attractive market, actually. More than 80% of Caribbean exports of goods and services go to Madrid Union members, including the United States, European Union, Canada, Switzerland, but also United Kingdom, India, Japan, Brazil, etc. Actually, becoming a party to the Madrid Protocol offers the Caribbean nationals the possibility to obtain easier trademark protection in those markets. Here I've put a graph to show the users from a wide variety of industry sectors. As you see, there's research and technology accounting for 20% in this graph, health, agriculture, clothing, a 10% for business services, leisure and education, construction, household equipment, transportation, and chemicals. Are there many Caribbean companies wishing to protect their marks abroad? Well, if we see this table here, we can see the direct filings and the Madrid filings. The Madrid filings we've got for Cuba and we've got for Antigua and Barbuda. The rest are direct filings in each contracting party, of course, through a Madrid Union member. Antigua and Barbuda have 3 active registrations that you can see on the slide for eyewear, corrective lenses, and eye care product, with an impact on 60 national marks. I finish with this slide, which is 300, showing you 3 examples of 349 registrations by holders from other Caribbean countries who had to file through another country, as I said, a Madrid Union member. I finish with this. I give the floor back to Ricky, thanking you all for listening to us and offering you to submit any questions you may have through the question and answer. I also wanted to say one thing, that in our guidelines we've got, which are published in our website, we've got a full explanation on what we do in both of our roles as designated office and as Office of Origins. It's well explained, each of our tasks and role, etc. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rebecca Santander. We would totally agree with you about the Madrid system in full expansion. I like the way that was described, particularly. Thank you. Alexandra, I believe that our colleagues from the South wish to speak. Take the floor.
Yes, thank you very much, Rebecca. And let's invite Kevish Sita from Trinidad and Tobago IP office to give some remarks, because just today they are starting this journey as a member of the Madrid Union.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever times when you're coming to us from. Greetings from the Intellectual Property Office of Trinidad and Tobago, and greetings from the controller, Mr. Regan Asgarali. We want to first thank the UIPO and ABIPCO for the opportunity to speak. As Alexandra said, today is a red letter day for us at the Intellectual Property Office here, because 3 months ago on October 12, 2020, we acceded to the protocol, and in line with WIPO's requirement of a 3-month desk audit period, we are now implementing the Madrid Protocol. So it's a huge day for us. And so this is a huge moment for us in Trinidad and Tobago. We're pulling up the south of the Caribbean here. It was a long, extensive, albeit great journey for us to come to the helm of Madrid Protocol now in 2020, and we have learned from the great experiences that Antigua and Barbuda have shared with us and that the EUIPO has shared with us. So a million thanks to you all for that. We see the Madrid Protocol as beneficial to so many interested parties, from your sports persons to your creative sector to your artists to micro and small and medium enterprises, multinational corporations alike. So it's going to be a great ride for us, we hope. I want to point out, Alexandra mentioned at start of this seminar that there was a guidebook that was prepared for BIPCO, and the EUIPO is also preparing one for Trinidad and Tobago. Is fantastic. We look forward to the finalization of that in the near future, and that will be up on our website at ipo.gov.tt. So you can always catch that there. It would be a guidebook for all entrepreneurs and users of the system, and it will be a succinct breakdown of how to use the system, the law in Trinidad and Tobago. The office is always available for any questions, any clarifications. So thank you, and we look forward to you designating Trinidad and Tobago in your applications.
Thank you very much. Yes, so now, yeah, with Trinidad, there are 3 countries from the CARIFORUM region besides Cuba and Antigua Barbuda. Nationals now from Trinidad and Tobago can file directly and designate many of those countries or the ones that they need, including the EU, for their trademarks. Before we conclude, actually, I would give the word back to Antigua and Barbuda for some wrap-up or closing remarks.
Okay, thank you. Just to let our colleagues to the south know that we stand ready to assist further in any way we can. We have now come to the end of our very first webinar, and I'd really like to thank the presenters for sharing their knowledge with us and making this webinar an informative one. A special thanks to the European Union Intellectual Property Organization for supporting us in this important initiative, and we hope for future collaboration on areas of mutual interest. Thank you to our technical staff and to those who helped make this event a success today. Particularly in this global pandemic, we are more than ever relying on our technical staff, so we're very grateful to them. Thank you to our listening public for participating in this event. We know it began on 9 o'clock on a Tuesday, and we do hope that this information is useful to your businesses and it will help you further and grow your brand. Your brand is your strongest asset. If you have any questions on anything that was discussed or mentioned, please feel free to contact us at the registry. You can find us online at BIPCO, ABIPCO, gov.ag, where you will also find our contact information, or on our Facebook page. You can also find our booklet that was done for our 20th anniversary celebration of Madrid on our Facebook page or on the CarIPI website, which Alexandra did provide a slide with some details on earlier in the session. And we would love to hear from you and get your feedback. And we also plan on doing more webinars, as we said earlier, because we believe this may be the best way to do our outreach work given the global pandemic at the moment. Also, for those that may wish to reach out to Desiree Samuel, I know that Sanhall also has a website, so you could check that out if you're interested. And I'd really like to thank you all. And from a BIPCO's point of view, this brings the webinar to an end. Thank you.